welcome to our first recap show and review of AMC's Preacher. With me here is Mr. Lou Rod. How's it going, man?
I'm doing well. How are you this evening?
Good, I'm good. It's been a busy day, so I'm glad I'm able to actually do this. So if you don't know anything about Preacher, Preacher is a new show on AMC. It is based off a Vertigo comic book, which publication date was between 1995 to 2000. And this is what the show is based about. And I'll give you a synopsis from the comic book, and this will lead on to our show. So Preacher tells the story of this. I'm just reading off the wiki here, easy, because I haven't read the comic. Hey, and Lou hasn't read the comic, I presume, right?
No, I haven't read it yet, but I do have it. I'll probably wait a few seasons before I do read it.
Okay, so Preacher tells the story of Jesse Custer. He is a preacher in the small Texas town of Annville. Custer is accidentally possessed by a supernatural creature called Genesis. Now, I will stop right there because I don't want to spoil where the source of this creature is. We'll put it aside because they haven't showed it on the show. Yeah. So, first of all, the first question I'm going to ask you is, what do you think about this episode? Like, just quickly before we get on to some breakdown, what do you think about the episode itself?
I thoroughly enjoyed it. It moved nicely. The certain characters that we met.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I like the vamp. I guess he's a vampire.
Oh yeah, he is a vampire. I mean,
the Scotsman was funny.
Yeah.
I forgot her name in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but
I enjoyed.
Yeah, Tulip, or whatever the hell her name is.
Her name is Tulip. Yeah. I apologize, guys. You're going to be seeing lines on the screen. YouTube is having issues with me, but continue.
I enjoyed her introduction. Asshole face was funny.
Yes.
The little one-liners that were just thrown in periodically were great.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's shaping. I hope that this is one of them shows that is entertaining and services what it should be.
See, I enjoyed the episode. I thought it was well done, a well done pilot. It was dark, much darker than I even thought they would go. Not in the sense that it was like super dark or anything like that, but that the whole scene in the plane, because I've seen that comic strip before, especially when I first heard about Preacher, and it was a bloodbath up there in the sky for that, and even just the vampire Cassidy coming down and his guts everywhere. It seems like all he needs is blood. That's pretty much.
Yeah, I mean that was funny.
It doesn't matter
on the ground.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's a human or an animal. He just needs
the cow. Poor cow had to pay the price.
Yeah, so he needs blood. The introductions were great. Introduction of Tulip was fantastic for the kids in there.
The little girl was annoying.
No. I mean, the little girl was not annoying. The little girl was playing big sister, and it's rightfully she should be doing that though. So I mean, to me that made sense. I mean, that whole scene was on point. Yeah, she's like, yeah, you're gonna get in trouble. Why don't you call the cops? And look, the Tulip was giving her life lessons straight from Tulip. And you see, it's not like remember, annoying would be, I'm gonna call the cops. I'm gonna call my dad. She asks one question and then stopped. Asks one question and then stopped. Never a follow-up question. It was all about, this is what I'm supposed to do. Okay, fine.
Why couldn't she be like her brother? Yeah. Cool.
Because he's a boy. Yeah. So Tulip was cool.
I'm sorry, but I have to go back to outer space. We get to Africa.
Oh, yes. Continue.
That scene was hilarious.
It was. That's a good intro, though. Because at first, it's got that 80s vibe look to it. And then it gets, it goes through passes all the planets and everything. And it possesses the preacher in Africa. They didn't say Africa. And next minute, the guy's like, everyone be quiet. And he's like, I have the word of God, and he explodes. But then this thing starts possessing different people. It goes to a satanic church in Russia.
Yeah.
And person dies there. And then you know who dies? Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Possesses Tom Cruise. And
I think, was that in the comic? Because I keep hearing about that.
I don't know. I need to find that out. Hey, Jackie, how you doing? Thanks for joining in. Maybe it was in the comic. I don't know.
Tom Cruise died on TV.
Yeah, he died on TV. Possessed him. I love the scene in the bar where he beat up the woman's husband.
I enjoyed that thoroughly because it was
Yeah, because you knew when the sheriff came in and said, "Hey, preacher, stop that now," and he's like, "Almost," because he wants to hear that squeal.
I was like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah, he was. I mean, it was good, and the possession happens. So at the very end of the show, of the episode, sorry, you get him possessed by this supernatural being. Now you can check on Wiki to find out the source of what this being is, but he has the almost basically from the comics, he has the power of the Word of God, so he can basically tell you to do anything, literally.
Yeah, trust me, I saw that where the guy snuck a knife out of his pants and shit. Ugh.
No. He picked up the knife. Remember, he picked it from the table, and then we saw his back. He dropped it on his lap when he sat down in front of his mom.
Oh, yeah. I thought he snuck it out. Okay.
No. Remember, he went to the table.
I know he went to the table, but I didn't know what he grabbed.
I knew he was going to grab something, but it was a table of desserts, right? And there's going to be a knife to cut in and all that. He grabbed it from there, told his mom. So basically, that whole scene, the preacher says, "Be brave, tell your mother, and show your heart." So, at that point, his word came out, hit him, and that was like, boom. The dude. I felt that was going to happen, but seeing it still happen, I was like, oh man, this show is going to be dark.
And I'm sorry, but what dessert table needs a Michael Myers knife?
I mean, they had to put it there. Come on. Let's look. This is a tiny. This is what I call tiny inconsistencies that actually help the episode. Okay, so never mind. But yeah, it was definitely a good first episode to start off a show. And you're telling me that it's going to be 2 weeks before the next episode.
Yeah, this is just such rubbish.
Yeah, so I'm a little disappointed. So I will say this now quickly: is recap will be Mondays 8 p.m. But once Game of Thrones ends, the recap will move to Sunday.
Okay, so in 5 weeks it moves to Sunday. In 6 weeks it'll move to Sunday.
So at least it'll keep a nice flow and everything for people right there. But anything else in the show that on the episode that you liked? Anything you picked up that was interesting?
I like the mom when she broke the tablet.
Oh yeah,
that reminded me of my mom. She was pissed off. You know what? Bang!
She was a little frustrated. Just a little frustrated. Yeah, but
how she told the mayor, "We're working," when the mayor's trying to flirt with her.
Yeah, because she likes a preacher. I mean, you can tell.
Yep.
You can tell she likes a preacher. So we know who his companions are going to be. It's going to be the vampire, because the vampire moved into the church attic. I love the fact where the guy, when they were fighting in the plane, "Die, you demon from hell, you possess," whatever he said, and he's like, "Did you ever get it? That doesn't work." But from the comic book, it takes so most likely the show Supernatural stole some stuff from here. From the comic good, God is missing from heaven.
Oh boy, here we go.
And so the preacher in the comic, the preacher is on this journey to find him with the vampire, Tulip, and Assface. That's his crew right there. And
the Assface is funny.
And what is possessing the preacher is not God, according to the comics. It is said to have almost the same power of God. Now there were two people who showed up in Africa, who showed up in Russia, and probably showed up
at the end of the episode.
They probably showed up at Tom Cruise too, but they showed up at the end, and I'm wondering who they are. Now in the comics, his main protagonist was the Saint Killer. Basically, was his bio is basically he's someone who heaven basically sends out to kill, almost like a killer, or something like that, a specific people. And Saint Killer basically was sent out to kill Jesse because Jesse is possessed by this thing. We don't know what this thing is. So, I mean, I do know from the comic, but I don't want to spoil it. So, I've been told that I spoiled too much. So,
this is a spoiler recap. Get over it.
So okay. So I'm going to say here now, spoiler. I'll tell you what that thing is. If you don't want to hear, You can pause to skip for like a minute, and that'll be it. So the thing that's possessed him is called Genesis in the comic books, and Genesis is a child
Didn't
from
it say Genesis at the beginning of the episode?
yeah, it said Genesis, but everybody was thinking the beginning of the world, right? That's Genesis was from the unholy communion between an angel and a demon. Genesis is so powerful and does not know what it is, which is why its power is literal.
True, Iron Mike.
Nice. So his power is literal, which is why if you the end of the episode when he says, "Tell your mom and show your heart."
She literally showed
So
her.
Genesis doesn't have. So to me, I think the arc of this show would be either him trying to tame Genesis or teach Genesis what is what is good and bad and how to do it. Which is why it makes sense. Genesis went to the pastor, then Genesis went to the Satanic Church, and then Genesis went to Tom Cruise,
Scientology.
and then finally found the preacher because as a character, he's the most conflicted balance of the two. He had a promise to his father. His father was a preacher, and then he was also this Mr. Tough guy, right? That had this history that we saw a glimpse of. So he's almost like the perfect balance of like he's trying to do good, but he also has a past in there. And
they pulled out those Texas accents perfectly.
Yeah, the Texas accents were on point. They were nice. They were nice. Even for Dominic Cooper, though. Yeah, especially since we know he's not from Texas.
You've seen him in certain shows. You're like, man, talks good English.
Remember, Dominic Cooper is Howard Stark, young Howard Stark. Yeah. So.
And watching I think her name was Raylene, in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., she spoke well too, but she pulled out that accent pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the casting, and no, I think the best casting, just quickly off the episode, the two best casting has to be Dominic himself and Cassidy. Cassidy just nails that, Irish for like no nonsense.
I like when he's on the plane and he's using the golf club to swing.
Yeah, and he's aiming properly too. He's like
little putts and shit.
So yeah, it was definitely a good episode, good setup for things to come. I think those two guys at the end are the Saints killers. Maybe they make it in two instead of one in the show. To give more spice, or they could be angels. We don't know how. I mean, I haven't read the comic, but I'm thinking.
We'll know when the season's over.
Yeah, we'll know. All right, guys, that is it. It's a quick recap of Preacher, the first episode. Next episode is 2 weeks, so our next show will be 2 weeks for this. Monday again, 8 p.m. So which means, like you said, 6 weeks. It will move to Sunday at 10 p.m. because, of course, we know that Game of Thrones will be over by then. All right, guys. If you have any questions or any comments, leave them down below. Leave your discussion points in the with the video itself in the description or in the comment sections or in the description. That's where I leave stuff. If you're watching us for the first time, definitely hit the subscribe button. All right, guys. Thank you very much, and always enjoy your entertainment.